Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today we will immerse ourselves in A Final Reckoning by G.A. Henty. A Final Reckoning is a novel by G.A. Henty, first published in 1887. Henty, known for his historical adventure stories, sets this novel in Australia during the early days of British colonization. The novel is notable for stepping away from Henty's usual historical battlefields and instead focusing on a thrilling adventure involving settlers, bushrangers, and Aboriginal Australians. The protagonist, Reuben Whitney, embarks on a journey filled with danger and moral challenges as he faces the wilderness and criminal elements of the Australian outback. Plot summary. Reuben Whitney stood before the stern schoolmaster of Tipping Village, his defiance clear in his eyes. Despite being clever and bright, Reuben had a knack for getting into trouble, or rather, trouble had a way of finding him. On this day, 4 windows of the village school were smashed, and Reuben, having been the last to leave, was blamed. Yet, it was not his doing. It was Kate Ellison, the squire's daughter, who finally cleared his name, revealing that the true culprit was Tom Thorne, a bully and Reuben's bitter rival. This rivalry set the stage for the larger trials awaiting Reuben. Reuben's father had once been a prosperous miller, but after a series of bad investments, he drowned under suspicious circumstances. His mother, Mrs. Whitney, struggled to maintain a small shop, barely scraping by. The villagers looked down on the boy, blaming him for mischief he did not commit, and the schoolmaster's harsh punishments further isolated him. But Reuben was resilient. With his mother's support, he faced these injustices head-on, determined to carve a better future for himself. Reuben's chance came when the squire, Mr. Ellison, offered him work in his garden. Though the boy welcomed the opportunity to prove himself, fate had other plans. The squire's fierce watchdog, Wolf, bit Reuben, and shortly after, the dog was found dead, poisoned. Circumstantial evidence pointed to Reuben, especially when a packet of rat poison from his mother's shop was discovered near the dog's kennel. The squire, assuming Reuben had killed the dog in revenge, dismissed him, despite the boy's tearful protests of innocence. Unable to bear the shame of being wrongfully accused, Reuben and his mother moved to Lewes, a nearby town. Mrs. Whitney opened another small shop, while Reuben found work as an apprentice to a millwright named Mr. Penfold. Though this new life offered hope, Reuben could not shake the injustice of his past. He suspected Tom Thorne might have poisoned the dog to frame him, but with no proof, Reuben was forced to bury his suspicions. Still, Lewes offered him a fresh start. Under Mr. Penfold's guidance, Reuben flourished, learning the millwright trade and becoming a respected young man. But back in Tipping, the squire's troubles were far from over. One night, thieves broke into his home, making off with valuables and leaving chaos in their wake. The villagers were in an uproar, blaming bushrangers and lawlessness. The squire, furious and determined to recover his stolen property, called for a search party. Reuben, hearing of the burglary, volunteered to help. His knowledge of the surrounding countryside, learned from his days roaming the fields and forests near Tipping, made him invaluable to the group. The search led Reuben and the others deep into the wilderness. They followed faint tracks through dense bushland until they stumbled upon the lair of the bushrangers. The outlaws were rough, dangerous men who had been terrorizing settlers for months. With the help of the police, Reuben and the squire's men confronted the criminals in a tense standoff. Shots rang out, and in the heat of the battle, Reuben showed his courage, helping to subdue the bushrangers and recover the stolen goods. His bravery did not go unnoticed, and word of his actions quickly spread. The squire, now aware of Reuben's valor and loyalty, began to regret his harsh treatment of the boy. He invited Reuben back to Tipping, offering him a position of trust and a chance to restore his reputation. Reuben accepted, though not without a sense of wariness. The village that had once turned its back on him now looked at him with respect, and even Tom Thorne, whose grudge had caused so much trouble, was forced to swallow his pride. Yet Reuben's adventures were far from over. The Australian wilderness, still untamed and full of danger, presented new challenges. The settlers lived in constant fear of attacks from both bushrangers and hostile Aboriginal tribes. Reuben, now a trusted member of the community, took on greater responsibilities, learning to navigate the harsh terrain and defend the settlers from threats. One fateful day, Reuben led an expedition into the heart of the bush, seeking to track down a particularly violent band of bushrangers who had been terrorizing the local farms. The journey was perilous, with the men battling extreme heat, hunger, and the ever-present danger of ambush. But Reuben's keen instincts and unyielding determination guided them through the worst of it. After a grueling trek, they finally located the outlaws' hideout. In the fierce battle that followed, Reuben once again proved his worth, risking his life to protect his comrades and ensure the safety of the settlers. His actions earned him the respect and admiration of all, including Mr. Ellison, who had now fully embraced him as a trusted ally and friend. Reuben had come full circle, from a boy wrongfully accused and cast out to a young man who stood tall in the face of adversity, defending the land and the people he had grown to love. Through his courage, integrity, and hard work, Reuben Whitney had finally found his place in the world. A place built on honor, loyalty, and the deep bonds forged in the wilds of Australia. That's all for now, but if this book spoke to you, G.A. Henty has more waiting for you. Find them in the description or on Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in G.A. Henty's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.